Cobra Kai is a Netflix TV show that is a sequel to the Karate Kid films. It stars William Zabka, Ralph Macchio, Taylor Buchanan, Zolo Maridueña, and a bunch of other people. This show takes place over 30 years after the events of the first Karate Kid, and this show actually focuses on Johnny Lawrence. Johnny Lawrence's life after the events of the first film has basically gone downhill. He's financially struggling. He's an alcoholic. He barely has a relationship with anybody. He's pretty much the opposite of what he was in the first film. And eventually he meets a kid named Miguel, a shy kid who's nice, who has a problem with bullies. And after certain events happen, Johnny Lawrence decides to teach Miguel karate, be his sensei, to be specific, and reopen the dojo Cobra Kai. But he wants to redeem Cobra Kai and take it into a different direction, because if you've seen the original films, you know Cobra Kai and the reputation has basically gone down the shitter. And you have Daniel LaRusso, who is a very successful owner of a car dealership. He has a wife, he has two kids, and basically his rivalry with Johnny Lawrence, it comes back, and you have a bunch of things happen. You have characters from the old films, they come back to the show, and you have a plethora of new characters, and when you combine all that together, you get a hell of a show. So Cobra Kai was a TV show that was on my watch list for a while, but what got me to finally see it was a recommendation from a friend. She asked me to watch it and to review it, so here I am doing that. So in preparation for Cobra Kai, I rewatched the first Karate Kid film and watched the sequels for the first time. So I watched Cobra Kai right after, and I binged this show in 4 days, which I guess gives away what I thought of this show. Cobra Kai is, without exaggeration, one of the best shows on TV right now. And so far, there's been 3 seasons, and all 3 seasons, they are emotionally compelling, they're action-packed, they're funny, they are really entertaining, and the show as a whole is just so addicting. Because I mentioned that I binged the show in 4 days. I promise I did not plan to, but the show kept having cliffhangers and new people started showing up, and I constantly wanted to see what was going on. It's one of those shows that has that ability to grab you and want to make you see more, which is definitely what happened with me. So I want to be honest with you guys. Cobra Kai is a show I did not know much about. The only thing I really knew was that it was a part of the Karate Kid franchise, but I didn't know what the story was. I didn't watch a trailer, never seen a clip. I basically went into the show as blind as possible, and I'm so glad I did that, because having Johnny Lawrence as the main character of the series was really surprising to me, because in the first 3 Karate Kid films, we followed Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRusso. He was the main character. We basically saw most of those movies through his eyes, through his perspective. And the fact that we have the antagonist of the first film be the protagonist for this show was such an interesting approach that I believe paid off, because Johnny Lawrence is such a layered character. In the first film, he's presented as a bully who is someone who deserves to get his ass kicked, and there's a certain scene in the second one where you kind of look at him in a different way, not condoning his actions, but you kind of see why he was the way he was. This show really does this this technique of making you see his perspective of not only the events of the first film, but his character as a whole. And honestly, he's a layered character. He's not just this really shitty person for no reason. I mean, I wouldn't really say he's a shitty person. Yes, he's done things that are wrong. He acts in a certain way. He's a douche to other people. But William Zabka, I believe he gives an Emmy-worthy performance in this show. I'm so surprised that he did not get any recognition from the Emmys, because he plays this character with so many layers. I mean, there are times where he's darkly funny, or he owns the physicality of the role, and he has heart-to-heart conversations with Miguel in particular. I mean, his relationship with Miguel in this show is very much the heart of the entire show. And watching Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio come back as Daniel LaRusso come back, you know, I think Ralph Macchio gives the best performance of his career. I mean, even better than his performance in the films in The Karate Kid, because they make you really see him in a different way. It's not that he's the bad guy of the show and Johnny Lawrence is a good guy. It basically presents 2 people who are flawed and have inner demons, but they have a lot to offer, especially with Daniel LaRusso, because with Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRusso in the first 3 films, you really feel the presence of Pat Morita, because his character, Mr. Miyagi, taught so many values and morals, and his character definitely, you see that in this show. But there are also times where you see Daniel Lusso in a different way. I'm like, okay, you're a little hot-headed. You kind of do things in an unjustified way, but overall, he still has a good heart. And I felt Pat Morita's presence throughout the show, even though he passed away in 2005. Rest in peace to that guy. But beyond that, this show is it's action packed. I mean, the fight scenes are awesome. The Valley tournament, there's a whole brawl that happens in season 2 that is just insane. The stakes are very high. The character arcs are compelling. I mentioned that this show does a great job of giving perspectives to Johnny, but there are other characters that come back from the other films, and it's so impressive how they're able to get so many actors from those movies and make you see through their eyes how certain events played out in the other films, and how they were utilized here is brilliant, honestly. I was so surprised. Constantly, the show surprised me because I expected certain things to happen with characters. I'm like, okay, so this happened, and I'm assuming that this is going to happen, but it always took different directions, and it always pleasantly surprised me, too. So you have Miguel, right? Miguel, who is played by Zolo Maridueña, and he does a great job. I mean, I love his character. I was a little nervous with how they were going to take him because he really does play the wimp really well, and I'm like, okay, we're expected to believe that he'll be this person who fights really well and is like this awesome fighter. Is it going to be believable? I don't know, but it was. I mean, when you see his character growth and see him turn the way he turns out, it's awesome. It really pays off. They managed to do it, and I feel that way with so many other characters. One thing I should point out is that Johnny Lawrence is definitely the main character. I would argue Daniel LaRusso is a supporting character, as I stated before. But there is a great study of character when it comes to the kids. Like you have Miguel, you have Daniel LaRusso's daughter, you have Hawk, you have so many people. And some of them have issues that you can see them on the surface. They're like, okay, they're bullies and they act in unjustified ways. But everybody has a certain sob story. And it works because it makes you see them as people, as human beings, because no one is 100% good and no one's 100% bad. And that's what I love about this show. The most impressive thing about this show, beyond the stunt choreography, I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that weird. The stunt work is awesome, right? The fight scenes are incredible. It's so entertaining. It's funny. But the best thing about this show for me, other than the performances too, is the writing. The writing here is just genius, honestly. It's so crazy how they were able to make a show like this and make it justified, because I just wish I was a fly on the wall the day the creators went into the office and told the people of YouTube Premium, because this show was a YouTube Premium show first until Netflix picked it up. They're like, yeah, we want to make a show on Johnny Lawrence and show it through his perspective and have, the creators of Harold and Kumar movies, the American Pie movies, and make it work. Because I feel like there would be so much skepticism just hearing that, but it all works out so well. The score is awesome. You have characters that are just great. I heard some complaints saying that the high school soap opera, it's a little too much, but I don't really understand that complaint because, number one, the characters are well realized and it doesn't feel like a Lifetime show at all. And besides, Daniel LaRusso was a high school student in the first 3 films, and he constantly had the problem with bullies. In each film, he has a new romantic interest. So it's just showing the same thing, basically, just with more characters. And it's really well handled here. So it's definitely not like Twilight or a Lifetime film at all. It's actually done in a very engaging way, and it's realistic, and I was just compelled by it all, honestly. So what haven't I said that I wanted to say about Cobra Kai? This review will be spoiler free. I mean, it is spoiler free, obviously. If it was spoiler filled, I'll be talking about so many more things and why the stakes are higher and other characters that come back that you might not know right away, but it'll be a surprise if you see it, because I was surprised with who was in the show and who wasn't. So I just want to say that Cobra Kai, it really lives up to the hype for me. It's a fantastic show. I'm going to give Cobra Kai a 9 out of 10. I think this show surpassed my expectations. It probably surpassed everybody's expectations because I don't think nobody anticipated this show to be as good as it was. Because as I stated before, It was on YouTube Premium. Netflix picked it up, and season 3, it's now considered a Netflix show, but 73 million households watch Cobra Kai on Netflix. So believe me when I say that there's going to be more seasons. They're planning on doing future spin-off shows. All I'm saying is that if these creators are on board and they keep on doing what they're doing, because this show is currently, it's doing well. Okay, all 3 seasons are consistent, and I'm just hoping it stays that way. I'm down for more seasons if they're able to do that, because you have a show, some shows, you may have one really good season and other seasons just don't live up to that one. But that's not the case for this show so far. I really hope it's able to maintain that stride and be great. And my prediction is that as the seasons go on, the viewership will only go up, and Cobra Kai is going to be way more popular than it is now, which is saying a lot. So Cobra Kai gets a 9 out of 10. I love this show. To my friend who recommended this to me, thank you so much, because this was on my watch list, as I said, but it wasn't very high on the list. So I don't know when I was going to see it, but I'm glad I listened to you. I'm glad I finally saw it, because I love it. It's great. So I hope you like this review too. And I hope all of you enjoyed this review. Anyway, the next reviews I'll be doing is Tom and Jerry and the Billie Eilish documentary. Now, for those of you wondering, why am I going to be doing a Billie Eilish documentary review? That's because I did a poll on my Instagram page, and the majority of people said they wanted me to do the review of the Billie Eilish documentary. So I'll be doing that. I'm not even dreading the film, to be honest. I actually like Billie Eilish, so I'm interested to see the documentary. So, yep. Until then, I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching the review. As I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll take into consideration if you planning on checking out Cobra Kai or not. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Take care.